Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, we have a really cool fingerstyle blues composition. This is something you can play by yourself, works on acoustic or electric guitar. It's so much fun to play, and it's relatively easy to play. So if you've tried fingerstyle lessons in the past and been frustrated with it, or maybe you've never tried it, this would be a great one to get in on because your thumb stays on one string at a time. So this is not one of these Tommy Emmanuel or Chet Atkins compositions where you're jumping all over the place. This is fairly easy to follow along with. I realize that easy is a relative term, but in the world of fingerstyle playing, this one's fairly easy to play and it sounds really good on its own. So I've got the lesson split into two parts. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and download the tablature for this and have access to the on-screen tab viewer, you can get all of those things by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP319. All right, so before we jump into this lesson, let me talk about this guitar and the amplifier, and you'll see that you can get both of them for around $500. I mean, we're not talking about high-end gear here. This guitar obviously is not a high-end guitar if we're in that price range. This is a 1961 K value leader, and this is one that I bought online. It's not the greatest of quality, but it's just a cool sounding, it's a fun playing guitar. I'm not a big fan of buying any kind of musical instrument online. I like to pick them up and play on them and see if there's a connection there. But I saw that this one had a lot of neck wear, and you can see that the neck has been loved on here, both on the fretboard there and then on the side. Somebody's hand has obviously been in this position, rubbing off the finish, and that's usually a good sign that there's some kind of a connection that somebody has had through the years. And so I took the gamble. I think I paid $350 for this. But I just love this guitar. Now, why a K value leader? Well, I saw a Lonnie Johnson video on YouTube, and he's playing Another Night to Cry, and I just fell in love with the sound that I was hearing. It's kind of a tinny, it's very bluesy sounding, and then the look of the guitar. It's just unique. And I had to do a lot of research just to figure out what he was playing. I wasn't familiar with these. So anyway, that's what this guitar is. They're very affordable. You can find them on Reverb. That's where I ordered mine. There's probably, at the time, there were a lot of them up there. And then I'm playing through a Boss Katana amp. That's spelled K-A-T-A-N-A. Inexpensive amp, $200 amp. It's not a tube amp. It's all digital, but it's a great sounding amp. I love this amp. I play it all the time. I play it out. And I see guys all over Nashville using them, and I think it's because they're inexpensive. If somebody spills something on it or somebody steals it, you're not out all this money, and they're just very portable and usable. So that's what the amp is. It's a Boss Katana. I think I paid $200 for it, brand new, so you can get them used even cheaper than that. So very inexpensive setup. This is something that I'm doing actually intentionally, and I don't have anything on the amp in terms of a direct microphone. There's one mic that's right out of camera view that's picking up my voice and then the guitar across the room. So I'm doing that just to show you, you don't have to go out and buy all this crazy expensive gear to get a really good sound. I was very happy with the tone that I was getting from this guitar and that amp. All right, let's talk about the song. So this song is played in the key of E. And actually, before we get into the song, let's talk about the fingerstyle thing. So some of you are new to fingerstyle. Maybe you've tried it before and been frustrated, or maybe you've never tried it. This is an awesome jumping into fingerstyle lesson. So this is not super complicated. This isn't Merle Travis or Tommy Emmanuel fingerstyle. This is keeping your thumb on one string at a time. And that's the thing. Your thumb is your bass player when you're playing fingerstyle, so it's going to be playing on these bass strings, while your other fingers, your middle index and ring fingers, are playing all your melody stuff and your rhythm stuff. And so it's a combination of those things. Now, let me just go over the thumb pattern here first. So my thumb is always on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's always either on the 6th string or the 5th string. So that's what's going on with the thumb. The other thing I should mention is it's not ringing out like this. It's muted. And to get that muted sound, if I were to draw a circle on my hand, it would be like right here. I'm taking that part of my hand and I'm resting it on the strings, on the 5th and 6th string, to mute those strings so they're not ringing out. It just gives you more of an authentic bass sound. Now, you don't want to mute all the strings because you want the top strings to be able to ring out. And so it's just a matter of pivoting your hand and getting it in the right spot to do that. And it shouldn't take you that long to figure that part out. All right, so this song starts with a lick that sounds like that, a little bit of a country feel to it. But what I'm doing there, let me show you what I'm doing, then we'll talk through it. So I'm borrowing the first 3 strings on the 7th fret. My ring finger is on the 9th fret 3rd string. And I'm playing that with my index finger on the 3rd string, my middle finger is on the 2nd string, my ring finger is on the 1st string. And that's the case pretty much throughout this composition. That's how my fingers line up with the strings. My thumb is playing the 6th string or the 5th string. So we have 3, 2, 1, and then when I do that, I'm doing a hammer-on with my pinky to the 9th fret 2nd string. I'm playing strings 1 and 2 with my middle and ring finger. But at the same time, I'm using my thumb to play the 6th string. So we have... Now, it's probably already feeling complicated, depending on where you're at. It could be feeling complicated. Don't worry about it. Just practice just that. Don't go any further. Just try and get... something like that. Just something loopable that you can do until it starts to feel comfortable. Okay, so the next thing... Then I take my pinky off, play strings 1 and 2 again, with my thumb on the 6th string, and then index finger goes down on the 3rd string. So, and then we have this lick, and I'm keeping everything in place, but my pinky is now coming up to the 10th fret. I'm playing strings 1 and 2 with these 2 fingers, but I'm sliding. As soon as I play it, I'm sliding my pinky back down to the 9th fret, and then taking it off. And playing always playing strings 1 and 2 with these fingers. I've got my thumb going in rhythm as well. So let me back up and play that slowly. We have... All right? And if you are a premium member, you'll have access to the tablature, and you can loop that section with the on-screen tab viewer, slow that down to whatever tempo you want, and just play just that part. You can do this piece by piece. That's another reason to become a premium member if you're not, because I have that for all of these lessons. So if you're struggling with any part, you can always research just that part that you need. So that's what we have so far. Now all of that is played over the E chord. I mentioned the song is played in the key of E. And what we're doing is we're playing out of the E chord shape up here, or I'm sorry, the A chord shape, not the A chord, but the A chord shape up here, which is an E chord when you play it up in this position. Now all of this is covered in the caged lesson, C-A-G-E-D, which would be EP319. So if you need a refresher, if you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say A chord shape, that's what is covered in that lesson. Now when we talk about this part, that's the top part of that A chord shape. So that's all that is, this little triad on the first 3 strings. Now the cool thing though, your takeaway in this should be this sus2. So when we play it like that, that's an E sus2 or a suspended 2 chord. When we play it up here, that's a suspended 4 chord or a sus4 chord. So you have your E sus2, your E sus4. Now that is a big takeaway because you can apply that to other things. That's not limited to this composition. So if you're playing rhythm or lead, playing with a pick, playing fingerstyle, playing all kinds of different styles of music, you can use that now. Now that's a really sloppy version of me trying to demonstrate something, but that's what I'm trying to do, is show you that you have these embellishments you can play now over an E chord. But you can also play that over any chord now. So if I said play that over a D chord, that same sus2, sus4 thing, you could slide it down. There's your D chord, right? Now you can work that in here, or a C. And you can do it all over the neck now using this little shape here. And you can come up with some really cool stuff. So little sidebar there, but I thought it was worth explaining. So backing up from the beginning, we have... Now it goes to the A chord. Did you hear the bass change? My thumb changed from the 6th string and it came up here to the 5th string. So the fifth string, the open fifth string, is your A note. And so we're playing that. And what I'm playing on top of that is this embellishment really around an A chord. I'm just thinking about, I'm visualizing the A chord shape where I've got a triad up here. That would be if you play your A bar chord, but you're just playing the top three strings. That's what I'm visualizing. So I'm taking that concept, I'm barring the first two strings on the 5th fret, and then I've got my ring finger on the 7th fret 2nd string, and I do a half bend, so I'm only trying to come to this note. And then a release, and then play those two strings without the 7th fret in the way. And then middle finger goes down on the 6th fret 3rd string, which is completing that A triad. So all together it sounds like this. And you can see the thumb is staying on the beat. Try that over and over again until you can get it down. Each of these measures, as you're going through the tablature, or even if you're just watching the video, just take it measure by measure. Loop those measures until you can get it fluid, and then put them together. That's probably the best way to do this. It starts to cement in your mind a little bit. So from the beginning we have Alright, so now the song goes back to the E chord, and instead of me coming up and playing out of this shape, we've already done that, I wanted to play down here and play right there. So my thumb goes back to the 6th string, and then I'm playing a double stop here, or a harmonized 6th. I've got my ring finger on the 4th fret 1st string, my middle finger's on the 4th fret 3rd string, and I'm using my index finger on the 3rd string, my ring finger on the 1st string. Now, what is this? Some of you are going to ask that. Well, this is an E chord. I'm just thinking of the E chord right here. So if I were to take that D chord shape and slide it up, again, this is all covered in that caged lesson that I mentioned, EP319. But if I were to play that, that would be an E chord. I don't need all three strings. I'm just trying to get that harmonized 6. So I'm just playing strings 1 and 3 out of that. And then I take my pinky and I do a hammer on to the 5th fret 1st string. Now notice I've got the bass going on the rhythm underneath it. So slowly it sounds like this. And again, that's something you could loop. And I slid into that, that's the other thing. Just loop it. Right? Now after that, we go to the B chord. And what I played there sounded like that. Now all I'm doing is I've got my ring finger and my pinky on strings 1 and 3, but this time on the 2nd fret. So we were here, now we're down here. And then I've got my middle finger on the 5th fret 2nd string. And some of you are asking, what is that? Well, that's a B7 chord. If I play a B7 chord with my pinky on the 2nd fret 1st string, that's all I'm doing. I don't need the full chord though. All I need is strings 1, 3, and 5 out of that chord. So that's how that sounds, and it sounds nice when you hear it together in time. So let's back up from the beginning and play all the way up to that point. And you can see when I did it, I played that and then I played the bass. So there's a little bit of a stagger there. Now after that, I played that. Now what is that? That's just playing another embellishment around that B chord. So I'm picturing now the B chord using the A chord shape, just like we did it with the E chord, but now it's down here. And I've covered this before, but really what I'm doing is I'm picturing this B chord shape, and then I'm switching out the bass note. So instead of my pinky barring here on the 4th fret, I've got my index finger in its place, and then I move up here to the 6th fret 5th string, playing the B chord just with a different bass note now. And so that's what I was visualizing when I walked up to that note. And that's just another little variation or embellishment off that D chord. So that's ring finger starting on the 4th fret, 5th string, coming up to the 5th fret, and then sliding up to the 6th fret. My index finger goes down to the 4th fret. I play strings 3 and 4 with these 2 fingers, and then back to the 6th fret, 5th string with my thumb. So all together, that let's play from the E. And that's just a variation off of that B chord. You can use that in other things. Hopefully, if you like the sound of that, playing a B and then another version of the B, try that somewhere else. Try like a C or a D. And hopefully you'll start to get what you can do with that. You can start to create all kinds of cool things. Now here's a quick sidebar, but this will be a big light bulb moment for a lot of you. When I walked up to this position in the B chord, I'm actually in major pentatonic scale pattern 1 for B. If you look at where my bar is there, it's all right there. I'm already in position for pattern 1. So think about that. You know your pattern 1, or most of you do. So you can start to play all kinds of licks out of that. And so hopefully this is connecting the dots for some of that stuff, so that when you're improvising, you can see, okay, I've got that little walk up, but I'm also in position to play all this, these other embellishments if you want to. All right, so let's back it up from the beginning and play up to that point. Okay, and then all I did was I came back up to where I started, so I'm back into that E chord up here in this position, this E chord triad. I'm actually just playing strings 1 and 2 out of that. So I've got my ring finger coming up to the 9th fret, 2nd string, my index finger is on the 7th fret, 1st string. Pinky goes down on the 9th fret, 1st string. And I'm going to play strings 1 and 2 with my ring and middle finger. You can hear the thumb goes down at the same time as well. And then watch this. So my pinky now slid up to the 10th fret, 1st string. Again, I'm playing both strings with my middle and ring finger. And then 2 thumbs, or 2 E notes, thumping out after that. And so all I'm doing is I'm playing an E7 chord using that little embellishment there. And remember that too, as you're playing off of this chord triad, you can also play the 7th chord, which is what we did. We came up and hit that. And then I went down and played the same thing, but over the A. Just using single strings. It sounds so good, so bluesy. And that was a little bit of a Lonnie Johnson lick there. So what I'm doing is I'm sliding up to the 6th fret, 3rd string with my middle finger. Index finger goes down on the 5th fret, 2nd string. Again, I'm just picturing the A bar chord, those 2 notes out of it. My thumb is on the 5th string now. My pinky goes down on the 7th fret, 2nd string, so that it can slide up one more to the 8th fret, 2nd string. So all together we have, listen to the thumb right on the beat. And again, you can always loop a section if you need to. Just loop that one section or the E. Sounds really good together, the E and then the A. And then to conclude this, I went, right? Very kind of classic Delta blues, almost has a Robert Johnson feel at the end there. And what I'm doing for that is I'm sliding back up here to the 4th fret, playing strings 1 and 3, which we've already done. Thumb is on the 6th string now, because we're playing over the E chord. And then watch this. So for that, I take my ring finger off and play the open 1 string, but keep my middle finger there on the 4th fret, 3rd string. But but then I slide that down. My middle finger goes down to the 3rd fret now. Then to the 2nd fret. Then to the 1st fret. Isn't that nice? All right, so we have... And then to conclude it, all I'm doing there is I'm playing the E7 chord. But I'm starting there with I've got my middle finger on the 2nd string, the open 2nd string. Then I put my pinky down, so I'm just making an E chord with these fingers. I should have mentioned that. Making an E chord. My pinky goes down on the 2nd fret 2nd string, and then it slides up to the 3rd fret 2nd string. And I played 2 strings. I played my middle finger on the 2nd string, my index finger on the 3rd string. My thumb is on the open 6th string. So all together. And you hear that in all kinds of blues. That's a great little way to end a song. It's a great turnaround. It's very useful. Now this is where the song goes into a whole other part, but I'm going to save that for the part 2 video. And if you're a premium member, you have access to that. You have access to the tablature, all of that stuff. So I'm just plugging that for you to check out. Let's back up now and we'll play through this first half of the song one more time. And remember, if you're struggling with any of it, just loop the part that you're struggling with. Find a way to loop it so that you can play that one part, that one measure over and over again, just to get the timing down. You play it as slowly as you need to. All right, let's back up, play through this one more time, and then I'll see you in part 2 for the rest of it. So here we go.